Before anyone meets you, your name has already spoken for you. A teacher reads it from a class list. A recruiter sees it on a resume. A stranger hears it across a crowded room. Long before they know your personality, your kindness, or your intelligence, they begin building a story inside their mind. It happens in seconds. Most people believe names are simply labels, convenient ways to identify one person from another. But psychology suggests something far stranger. A single word, chosen before you were born, can quietly shape expectations, opportunities, and first impressions.
How can a name influence people who have never met you? The answer begins with your brain. Human beings evolved to make fast decisions. Thousands of years ago, hesitation could be deadly. Your ancestors survived because they recognized patterns quickly. They judged unfamiliar people, animals, and environments in moments. Those shortcuts still exist today. Psychologists call them cognitive biases. These mental shortcuts save time, but they also create invisible assumptions. When your brain hears a familiar name, it instantly searches memory. It connects that name with people you've known, celebrities you've seen, fictional characters you've watched, and stories you've heard.
Without realizing it, your mind fills in the blanks. In 1948, psychologists Solomon Asch demonstrated how first impressions influence everything that follows. In his famous experiments, changing just one personality trait dramatically altered how participants judged an entire person. The brain doesn't evaluate every detail equally. It builds a complete picture from surprisingly little information. A name can become part of that picture. Researchers have repeatedly found that names can influence expectations in classrooms. Some studies suggest teachers may unconsciously expect different behaviors or academic performance based only on a student's name. Those expectations, even when unintended, can subtly affect encouragement, attention, and confidence. Most teachers work hard to treat every student fairly, yet unconscious bias can exist without conscious intention. The same pattern appears outside school. In 2003, economists Marianne, Bertrand and Sendhil Mullainathan conducted a landmark hiring experiment in the United States. They sent thousands of identical resumes to employers. The qualifications were nearly identical. The biggest difference was the applicant's name. Resumes with names commonly associated with white Americans received significantly more callbacks than otherwise identical resumes with names commonly associated with black Americans.
The employers never met the applicants. The names spoke first. The study became one of the clearest demonstrations that first impressions can begin long before face-to-face contact. But names do more than trigger social stereotypes. They can also influence memory. People tend to remember names that are easier to pronounce. Researchers have found that pronounceable names are often judged more positively than difficult to pronounce ones, even when people know nothing else about the individual. Your brain prefers what feels familiar. Psychologists call this the processing fluency effect. When something is easy to process, it often feels more trustworthy, safer, or more likable. Could something as simple as pronunciation really change how someone feels about you?
Surprisingly, yes. Of course, names never determine destiny. A name may open one door and close another, but personality, skill, kindness, and persistence shape far more of life's journey. Still, first impressions matter because they often happen only once. The strange part is that names don't just affect other people. Sometimes they influence us. Psychologists have explored an idea called implicit egotism. It suggests people may develop subtle preferences for things that resemble themselves, including letters from their own names. The theory remains debated, and not every study reaches the same conclusion, but it reveals an important truth. Identity quietly shapes behavior.
Your name becomes one of the first words you recognize. It appears on birthday cards, school papers, trophies, and official documents. Over time, it becomes deeply connected to your sense of self. It stops feeling like a label.
It becomes part of who you believe you are. Cultures around the world have understood this for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations often believed names carried power. In some traditions, knowing someone's true name meant gaining influence over them. Parents carefully chose names that represented strength, wisdom, courage, or hope. Modern science doesn't support magical powers, but it does suggest that names carry psychological weight, not because letters contain hidden energy, because human minds attach meaning to everything. Every conversation begins before the first sentence. Every introduction starts before the handshake. Every expectation begins before the evidence. Your name is often the first clue another person receives about you. Fortunately, first impressions are not permanent. Real conversations replace assumptions. Actions replace expectations. Character replaces labels. The stories people invent about your name eventually collide with the person standing in front of them, and that is where the real influence begins. Your name may speak before you do, but it can never tell your whole story. The next time someone says your name, remember this. They are not only recognizing who you are, their brain is making thousands of tiny predictions in an instant.
Some will be accurate. Many will not. Because the most important thing about your name has never been the word itself. It's the life you build around it.